The wood doesn't split cleanly when it's this cold. You have to recalibrate. The angle changes. The grain is different at -38 than it is at -15. The fiber contracts. The cellular structure tightens. And what would have been a clean split in October becomes a fracture pattern you didn't plan for. You adjust. You read the grain before you swing. I used to manage 14,000 containers in simultaneous transit. The axe is a Fisker's X27. Finish. 47 centimeter handle, 2.5 kilogram head. I ordered it from a supplier in Irkutsk 6 weeks before I arrived here. I was still in the DHL Crisis Center in Rotterdam at the time, reviewing bottleneck projections for the Bab-el-Mandeb corridor. I ordered the axe on a Tuesday at 11:40 p.m. between two conference calls. 12-minute window. It arrived before I did. When I got here, I unwrapped it in the snow, coat still on from the flight, the smell of the taiga hitting me, pine resin and frozen earth, and something underneath that I don't have a word for, something old. For approximately 4 seconds, I thought about grain patterns and blade geometry. The route was clear. I've been trying to reconstruct what that 4-second silence meant. I know it wasn't peace. It was closer to the moment before a system crashes, when everything goes very still because everything has stopped. But it was 4 seconds I hadn't had in 11 years. There is a shelf on the east wall, pine. The previous tenant, a man named Gennady, 71, a geologist who spent 30 years doing permafrost surveys for the Soviet Geological Service, left a lot of things. A broken spirit level, a tin of tobacco I haven't opened, and a clear rectangle of cleaner wood on the shelf surface, the exact size and shape of a smartphone. Every morning I reach for that shelf. My hand extends, my thumb moves. The motion is so established in my system that I execute it before I'm awake enough to override it. Then I feel pine wood, cold, rough. The phone is at the bottom of the Suez Canal. I want to be precise about this, not the Red Sea, not somewhere in the Mediterranean, the Suez Canal. 47 kilometers north of Port Said, based on my position when I threw it. Approximately 22 meters deep at the navigation channel midpoint. The iPhone 16 Pro has an IP68 rating, water resistant to 6 meters. At 22 meters, the casing was experiencing hydrostatic pressure it wasn't designed for within the first 3 seconds. I know this because I know this. I design supply chains for a living. I understand failure modes. The phantom notification started in Rotterdam 5 days after. A colleague, Dmitry Nansen, 44, VP of Operations, noticed before I did. He saw me reach into an empty jacket pocket 3 times during a 90-minute meeting. He mentioned it to Lena Braun, 51, my executive coordinator of 12 years. Lena told me carefully, using the phrase, "You might want to look into that." I reached into the pocket while she was saying it. The sound the phantom notification makes is not imaginary. It is a physical sensation, a brief high-frequency vibration in the bones of my right hand, specifically in the second and third metacarpals. 7 milliseconds, the duration of a standard Slack notification pulse. My body learned this pulse so precisely over 11 years that it can reproduce it without the source. Pavlov ran his experiments on dogs, but the experiment works on anyone given sufficient repetitions and sufficient stakes. The route was clear. I feel it here. in the cabin, at 2 in the morning in -40, when there is no electricity within 100 kilometers. I feel the phantom pulse in my right hand, and I reach toward the shelf, and I feel pine wood, and the loop completes. The first month, this happened 40 to 50 times a day. Now it's down to 6 or 7. I am aware that down to 6 or 7 is a metric that would concern a neurologist. I have recalibrated what normal means. The shirt is a Brooks Brothers non-iron Oxford, white. I bought it in 2021 at the Madison Avenue flagship. $87, a number so small it barely registered at the time. I was signing invoices for container repositioning that ran to 8 digits. I am wearing it now. Under a Rena hide vest and a wool sweater I found in a trunk. The collar is yellow-gray at the points. There is a tear in the left cuff that I repaired with a needle and thread from a sewing kit Kennedy left behind, using a stitch pattern I learned from a YouTube tutorial on a borrowed phone in Irkutsk, in a hotel lobby, in the 4 hours between my flight arriving and my transport leaving for the mountains. I don't know why I kept it. I burned the other 2 in October. I didn't burn them for symbolic reasons. I was cold. I needed to understand what a controlled fire felt like, how much material produced how much heat for how long. I was doing thermal analysis. The shirts were available. That is the story I tell myself. In load management, there is a principle called minimum safe reserve, the quantity below which you cannot operate safely, the floor beneath which any reduction creates systemic risk. The shirt is my minimum safe reserve of whoever I was before. I am aware of the absurdity. A man in a hide vest in the Cheyenne Mountains, holding on to a Brooks Brothers Oxford as if it were a lifeline. Awareness and action are 2 different systems, and mine are not currently synchronized. The route was clear. Most mornings I tuck the collar in before going outside. I don't know who I'm hiding it from. 3 weeks ago, on a morning when the temperature was -31, and I had split 4 hours of wood before 8, and fed the fire and made tea, and was sitting at the east window watching the light come through the larch line, there was a moment where the phantom pulse did not come. Not for a long time. Maybe 4 minutes, maybe 5. I don't know if it was peace. I know it was absence. And I know that the absence was different from the absence I felt when the phone hit the canal water. That absence was the silence before a crash. This one was something else. I reached for the tea. The cup was warm. I held it with both hands. The larch line was gold for approximately 3 more minutes before the angle changed. Gennadi's tobacco tin is still on the shelf. I haven't opened it. I keep meaning to.